I will be sharing some Latvian experience from a previous planning period of cohesion funds till up till now, what we are doing regarding to implementation of Integrity Pacts. My name is Beitelis. I'm representing State Chancellery of Latvia, and I'm the head of Foreign Finance Instruments Department. A little insight into the past in the previous planning period, what Latvian authorities were doing regarding to implementation of Integrity Pacts. Actually, we have only one project that was carried out during the pilot project launched by European Commission. And it's called the Riga Tram project, and up to this date, it remains the only one project in cohesion policy in which Integrity Pacts were implemented in very practical and real way. So about the Riga Tram project, the project is called Development of Riga City Tram Infrastructure. Implementing institution was municipal enterprise Riga City Traffic. Integrity Pact was signed with the branch of Transparency International of Latvia on 25th of November of 2016. And the goal of this project was extension of the tram system in Riga. And initially it was expected that this project will run until last year, until 2023. Costs of the project were 97.4 million euros. And some maybe important facts to know about the project. The project was chosen by Ministry of Finance. It was the first EU project implemented by Riga City Traffic. And Riga City Traffic itself, as an enterprise, has a quite long history of different corruption allegations. So definitely this choice was very good to implement the Integrity Pacts exactly in this enterprise. There were several local communities involved, and previously a tram line in Riga was built back in 1984. Some key maybe milestones of the project itself, what was planned. It was planned that 3.6 kilometers of new tram infrastructure will be built. There will be some reconstruction of an existing tram infrastructure as well, in amount of approximately 3 kilometers, and purchase of 12 low-floor trams was planned. Of course, as well, there were building of new stations, reconstruction of some existing stations, also the contact line energy supply cable network, and building of about 11 new tram stops. And in some places, of course, there were planned reconstruction of streets, some passage networks, and so on. And the goal of the monitoring process and the goal of Integrity Pact in this project was to increase transparency, accountability, and public participation, and of course to prevent possible corruption risks in Riga City Traffic enterprise. And there were in total monitored 4 tenders. So all 4 tenders were carried out within this project. If we look in this table from the very bottom, then the first monitored tender was the procedure of for discussions on the development of the construction plan for a new tram infrastructure section and the reconstruction of the existing tramway. And this procedure was terminated. I will speak on the next slides about the reasons why it was terminated, reworked, and launched again on year 2017 in the middle of this year, and this was the only one of successful tenders that was launched within this project. Of course, there were also two additional tenders, negotiation procedure on the delivery of low floor trams. Procedure, as you see, was terminated as well, and the last one was a restricted tender on the reconstruction of Riga tram infrastructure. And now I will touch upon some main reasons why the outcome of the tenders was exactly such. The first procurement that was about the planning of the development of the construction of plan of a new tram infrastructure. Thanks to presence of Integrity Pact and presence of Transparency International organization, it was observed that a number of technical requirements in the tender documents appeared to significantly restrict the number of bidders. Due to this reason, Transparency International Latvia requested the independent assessment of local procurement monitoring bureau. This bureau stepped in and issued an opinion asking Riga Traffic to cancel the procurement and redraft the documents. The new procurement, the Riga Traffic took on board most of the recommendations provided by Transparency International Latvia, and apart from that, Transparency International identified a potential case of document forgery, which was not proved, but later dismissed by the state police. But the very important thing to my mind is that such forgery, possible forgery, was identified, which wouldn't be possible without the presence of independent NGO in this project. Then the second procurement related to the delivery of low floor trams. Transparency International Latvia identified a number of technical evaluation and scoring criteria in the bidding documents, which deemed as unnecessarily restricting competition. And the third procurement, in this very similar way, organization identified restrictive preselection requirements and the complex bureaucratic process to obtain the necessary clearances to carry out construction work in Latvia. As a result, both procurements were cancelled. A new board appointed at Riga Traffic, and due to the high risks of corruption and probably also the time ran out for the project to complete all the activities as planned. And the main monitoring agency of cohesion policy funds in Latvia, the Central Finance and Contracting Agency, decided to terminate the contract with the Riga Traffic and disperse some of part of the EU funds. Achievements made by NGO Transparency International Latvia was that all the time while Transparency International was presented in the project, and actually while the project was running, there were significant improvements in procurement documentation. There were identified risks and reported to controlling institution. They helped to avoid single bidder situations in at least 2 cases. They filled the suspicious case of document forgery with the police, and one of the maybe positive side effects was that they raised awareness in society not only about the project itself, but also about the Integrity Pact as a valuable tool in monitoring process of cohesion policy fund projects. And some of the results, Riga City Traffic obtained independent expertise from Transparency International Latvia, government institutions. They obtained early detection and prevention of irregularities and single bidding situations and unfair procedures. They also obtained independent insiders assessment. And actually, after this project in Latvia, there has increased discussions about the presence of NGOs in monitoring processes in cohesion policy field. They also increased government's willingness to introduce integrity pacts, and as a consequence to this, I will talk in one of my next slides are the activities in the current planning period. We are also planning to, in a more broader way, to introduce some integrity pacts in Latvia. And some of the important lessons, of course, in such infrastructure projects and in complex projects, there definitely there is need for improved citizen engagement, because probably one project is not enough to make some conclusions of how exactly integrity pacts are working in practice, what are the roles of different stakeholders and responsibilities and so on. So there need to be discussions and maybe some changes in legislation how to improve the citizen engagement through integrity pacts, and also involvement of independent experts in large-scale infrastructure projects is crucial, because there are high risks of corruption, not only in a single enterprise, but always when there is a high amount of funding involved.
Hello, good afternoon to everybody again. I'm Kristina Vasileva from the Public Procurement Agency in Bulgaria. One of our competences, the competence of our organization, is to raise awareness and to share good practices. And I have the pleasure to share today with you more about the IP model in Bulgaria, the pilot application, and more about some actions that we have in place on this topic. I will start with brief presentation of the otherwise long history of independent monitoring of public spendings in Bulgaria. In fact, the history of citizen monitoring as a tool for control over the activities of institutions begins in 19th in Bulgaria, when the NGO Transparency International carried out the first ever independent monitoring in the country of the privatization process. So then we have many different projects in many different areas, and with the involvement of different actors from the public sector, we have national bodies and also municipalities. And so on and so far until we get to the development of the Bulgarian model of the Integrity Pact. It was developed in 2011 by Transparency International, and it is based on the experience of the disorganization giant in the country. And here I mean the knowledge about the public administration functioning, the legislation, and also the specifics of the market. It was pointed out also in the Irina's presentation that the market and judgment is very important. Of course, it includes also international best practices. This model as a tool is designed to increase transparency and integrity, specifically in public procurement that has been identified as one of the most problematic area in the Bulgarian public administration and in government in general. But now let's see what the Bulgarian model of Integrity Pact, I'll say IP for shorter. Let's see what the Bulgarian IP model is. It is a written contract between three parties. We have contracting authority from one side, independent observer, and participants in the tender procedure. This model covers all stages of the procurement, of the public procurement, from the very beginning to the implementation of the contract. By signing the contract, contracting authority agrees to provide access to the observer. For example, if we are talking about the beginning stage, the preparation stage, this may include all the tender documentation, the evaluation methodology, draft contract, how the type of procedure is chosen, and so on. And then during the selection stage, the observer should have opportunity to attend the meetings of the evaluation committee and to access to the necessary documentation. And here it should be pointed that this access include also the official and internal correspondence between, for example, members of evaluation committee, contracting authority, or with contracting authority and participants in the procedure. And during the performance of the contract, the contracting authority shall ensure that the observer has the opportunity to attend meetings and to carry out checks, documentary or direct. What about the independent observer? It's the independent party of this Integrity Pact that has no direct interest in the allocation of public resources. This is very important. This is generally a basic principle in the selection of observer. Yesterday we talked more about the selection criteria, but I find it very, very important. They must not have an interest in a specific public procurement, and moreover, they should not receive funding from a party that has such an interest. So the model in which the contracting authority pay to the independent observer make the observer not so independent, in my point of view. And the observer monitors all stages of public procurement and ensures publicity of the process by making its findings public in organized press conference. For example, it could be public forums, meetings. It also can issue reports or some news and to publish them on its website or to use social media. It also, I think we mentioned during the Irina's presentation, the management in case of signals for some irregularities. In our model, it includes that the independent monitoring can, independent monitor can receive such a report, such a signals, and if in such a cases, or if it detects some corrupt practices, it should alerting the participants in the pact, and if it's necessary, to alert other competent institutions about these irregularities. Contracting authority of its side should investigate every signal and to solve it. The observer may also provide the PACT's participants on good governance practices, anti-corruption policies, and measures to prevent and counter corruption. Here, I would like to draw your attention on that the observer is not directly involved in the process of preparation of the procedure, is not directly involved in the work of evaluation committee, is not directly involved in the decision-making process in this model. All the decisions are taken by the contracting authority, and the observer only monitors the process. There is, of course, no obstacles to the observer's recommendations to be taken into account in the decision making, but there is no such an obligation. And the third party in Integrity Pact, this model of Integrity Pact, are the participants in the public procurement procedure. Those of them who have joined the pact, because in this model it's a voluntary to join or not to join. And I really like the discussion during the previous presentation on the advantages and disadvantages of the kind of participation, mandatory or voluntary. So those of them who has joined undertake to comply with the anti-corruption rules, not to take actions that violate the rules of fair competition, and also to provide the independent observer access to how the documentation relates to its participation in this specific procedure. We have that, we see that we have a limited scope because we are talking about the documentation, only the documentation that are related for this specific procedure, not the financial information, for example, in general. I will share with you some information in numbers. We have 4 Integrity Pact implemented on this model that I have shown, and this information is public available on this website of the Transparency International, and I put the link on the slide. You have read more information on it. One of these Integrity Pacts is implementing the project for construction of Železnica Tunnel, part of Struma motorway, and this is the pilot application of Integrity Pact in such a huge, such a big construction project in Bulgaria. That this is the project that we will examine today. But let's start with why this project, how this project is chosen for observation. On the first place, first of all, of course, it is a big, significant financial resource. The estimated value of the public procurement is about 250 million leva. This is Bulgarian national currency, or approximately 125 euro. Moreover, this project is co-financed by the cohesion fund under the operational program on transport and transport infrastructure in the previous programming period 2014-2020. And the facility is also of a national importance. As I said, this is a part of Struma motorway project, which connects Sofia and Thessaloniki, so Bulgaria and Greece. The highway develops southwestern Bulgaria, but it is important infrastructure site not only for the Bulgaria, but also for a whole European Union. The motorway connects also the countries from Western and Central Europe, and is an important link between Europe and Asia. So Železnica is also the longest and most modern tunnel in Bulgaria with length of 2 kilometers, but the topic is particularly actual since the tunnel was officially opened last month in February this year. And now we will see more about the implementation of this Integrity Pact. It was signed and open for accession on 3rd of November 2015 between Transparency International Bulgaria as an observer and National Company Strategic Infrastructure Project as a contracting authority. The project is funded under the European Commission initiative, Integrity Pacts Civil Control Mechanism for Safeguarding EU funds. So the observant has been selected within the selection procedure call for proposal in the framework of this project. The interesting thing here is that the monitoring of this procurement takes 6 years.